Okay, you made it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to this session. We're going to be talking about the role of a guidance counselor or guidance teacher in high schools and student services. So what do we do in student services? Because this is a new kind of exciting thing that exists in high schools that didn't exist previously in your elementary school experience. So what's it all about? How do you connect with us, and what do we do? My name is Jess Houghton. I'm a guidance counselor with the OCDSB and an educator. I've worked as an educator for 15 years, and I've been in guidance for the last like 7 or 8. So know a few things. So please feel free to ask any questions as we go along, and I'll try my best to answer them. In the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's an icon that has a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you click on that, it'll give you the option to ask me some questions. So I will hopefully be able to answer all of those, but don't be shy. So student services, who are we and what do we do? So in high schools, you'll have the main office, but then there'll be another office not far from there where guidance and student services is housed. And we're made up of a team of folks. So we all work together to support different facets of students' education and ensuring that they're successful in receiving, their diploma, hopefully by the end of high school. And we're made up of a team of people, like I said. So who's there? There's guidance teachers. So those are teachers that have secondary qualifications, so they likely taught in a classroom previous in a subject matter that they have their qualifications in, but then they've received a special qualification to be in the guidance role. And we're going to talk about what guidance teachers do in the following slides, but I'll just speak a little bit more about who else is on the team. So often co-op teachers are part of this team, and co-op teachers facilitate work experience for students who are, any student who is in usually grade 10, 11, and 12 can look at a co-op opportunity, mostly 11 and 12, which is work experience that's attached to credits. And so we work really closely with them because a lot of students have different goals in the end, and oftentimes, if not all times, experience in that field can be really useful, not only for figuring out if it's actually what you think it is, but also for just gaining experience in that field. Student success teachers are folks who also work in buildings, but more in the classroom. So they often either have their own classroom or they're working in classrooms, and they're looking at student success. They're ensuring that students are achieving their credits, and if they're not, they're giving them extra supports and looking at what, change things for that student to be more successful. So it's obviously very important that guidance and student success work really closely together. Learning support teachers are folks who are looking after IEPs, so individual education plans. So if you have a young person in your house who you're supporting who has a learning disability or learning need, so they may have ADHD, they may have another neurodiversity like autism, where they have accommodations for their learning, learning support teacher is going to support the implementation of an IEP in a high school. We also work really closely with multicultural liaisons, so MLOs, and they work to support language needs for different families. So if you're somebody who speaks a different language other than English at home and you're trying to communicate with the school, we have MLOs who will facilitate that conversation, or those conversations, I should say. And then we have learning support services. So that's made up of, hold on one second. Learning support services means that we have a psychologist, a social worker, and a youth worker assigned to every high school in the city. And they are on site between 1 and 2 times a week, depending on the school and the need, so what's going on in the building. And they can facilitate a few different things. So psychologists will often look at educational testing. It's somewhat limited, but if that's something they're interested in, I would reach out to the school and how that works there. Social workers do a lot around mental health and wellness. They do a lot of community connecting. They can support students and families who are struggling with attendance, so getting the young person to school to attend. What are the barriers? And then youth workers also work on our schools to work with students with social skills, healthy relationship stuff, but they also go into classrooms and do a lot of presentations as well. So you may have a youth worker go into a class and do a presentation on, like I said, healthy relationships, mental well-being, and different strategies like that. So they're doing a lot of proactive work with our students. I should say that guidance teachers also, so every school has between 2 and 4-ish guidance counselors that work in the office, or guidance teachers. And usually they're divided by alphabet, by last name. So for example, when I was in a school, I had the alphabet last name L to Z. And so all of those students who fell in that last name category would come and see me. Some students or some schools do it by grade. So in grade 9, this is your guidance counselor. Most schools do it by alphabet. And it's definitely not fixed. So someone asked in the last one, like, what if I don't jive with my guidance counselor? You're not forced to be with that person. We really try and connect students with who they feel best with. Obviously, when we're dealing with 1,000 students, it makes the most sense to divide them to start by alphabet. But then as we move through our years in school, a student may feel more than another, and we don't stand as a barrier to a student making that decision. So what do we do as guidance teachers, and why would you come down and see us, other than just saying hi because we're nice people? So the number one kind of responsibility that we have is helping students pick their classes and building their timetables. So listening to students, listening to families as to like what their goals are, what their interests are, and then offering courses that make the most sense for their pathways. And so in grade 9, it's relatively straightforward because they don't have that much choice in what they're taking, right? They have to take English, they have to take math and science, but they may have a choice at their art class or their tech class and things like that. Just depends on the site you're at and what they're offering. But let's say you pick drama in grade 8 and you get to high school and you're like, oh, I really wish I had picked art. As a guidance counselor, you come on down, you make an appointment, and we can hopefully switch that up for you. So we do course changes, and we also do pathway planning. So if a student has a certain goal, some students show up in grade 9, they know all the courses they want to take, they know the school they want to go to, they know what they want to do afterwards. That's great, that's cool. Students, and so we work provide students with different opportunities for them to figure out what they're most interested in. And as the years go on, students have more choice in what they're taking. There's more options. There's summer school, there's night school, there's a variety of different e-learning. How do students best process that information and what makes the most sense for their timetable? So we answer lots of questions. The other way that we support students is in a social emotional capacity. Everyone has a bad day. Everyone has lots of interpersonal things that come up, right? Trouble with friends, trouble with partners, trouble with family, whatever it is, whatever stressor is happening, we work to students hopefully working through that. So we listen, we maybe provide some advice if it's asked of us. We connect them with folks and resources that make the most sense. And we help them get back to a place where they feel good, they feel ready to learn, and go back to class. And that's obviously our goal, and that is going to depend on what's going on. We also facilitate a variety of different things within the school. So for example, if we have a large number of students who are looking, they want to develop certain social skills, whether it comes from parent demand, caregiver demand, or student request, we may facilitate a special group in the school that is specific to that kind of skill that students want to develop. So that changes year to year, semester to semester, depending on the needs of our students and what's being requested down in guidance. And the last way that we support students, although it's it's not really just three things, but it's community connectors. So we support families with connecting them with outside agencies and supports, as well as students, who are requesting it. So that could be anything from, supporting community, getting your community service hours, where can you go? It could be if you are looking for an identity-specific group to connect with in the community, what are your options? If you're looking for some mental health support or wellness support outside of school, what does that look like? So we try our best as guidance teachers to stay educated and current with resources that exist in our communities, right? Not just the general Ottawa community, but also the smaller community that your school may exist in. And so we look to make those connections for families who are looking for those. So that's kind of the main reasons you'd come on down to guidance. Different schools have different ways of connecting with their guidance counselors. You can come down to guidance and make an appointment. There's a lot of schools, most schools have an online booking system where you can send them an email or even request your own time, right? So you can pick the time that makes the most sense for you to pop on down to guidance. And so we really encourage folks to ask the questions and come on out and come visit us down in guidance. So if you have any questions, I talked a lot and I talk quickly. I'm super happy to answer them. Again, in the bottom right-hand corner where that triangle, square, circle button is, if you feel like there was something that wasn't answered or you're just not sure, please feel free to ask any questions. If you don't have questions, that's the presentation for this evening, and thank you so much for coming out, and I wish you a good evening.